The other day, I posted something on TikTok and someone responded. By the way, if you don't follow me on TikTok, please check out the link in the description box so that you can follow me over there. I post a lot of content on TikTok as well. So I posted something and someone responded saying that African virtual assistants are disadvantaged in terms of what clients are willing to pay them for their services. And this prompted me to want to share something about how you can make the most out of what you charge your clients as a virtual assistant, regardless of whether you're from Africa or from the rest of the world. So today I want to talk about how you can become a highly paid virtual assistant, regardless of the services that you decide to offer. Hi, and welcome back to my channel. This is the place where we come to learn about how to make money online as women. So, if the kind of content that I share resonates with you, or you love the kind of content that I share on this channel, feel free to subscribe and share this with your friend, with your family, and whoever you feel will need this kind of content. So back to the comment that someone made about African virtual assistants being disadvantaged. And this really made me want to talk about this. And I decided I should have it as a long form content in terms of I should record a video and address this and share tips that can help you become a highly paid virtual assistant. The number one thing that you have to do if you want to become a highly paid virtual assistant is to niche down. It doesn't matter what kind of niche you decide to venture into, but you really have to niche down. A lot of people, when they're just starting out, they usually start as general virtual assistants, which is not a bad thing because if you're just starting out, you probably are not very sure about the kind of services you should offer. And it's good to explore a bit of general virtual assisting, and so that at least you get to experience every aspect of business support, and then you get to decide on exactly what you want to narrow down to. So you have to niche down so that when a client decides to hire someone that specialized in a given field, you have a high chance of landing such a client. I'll give you an example of if you if you had maybe a toothache and you wanted to see a medical professional about your aching tooth, you probably want to have it extracted. Are you going to approach a general practitioner, or are you going to go to a dentist? Yeah, it is very likely that you're going to approach a dentist because you believe that a dentist is trained specifically to address the kind of problem you're facing, and a dentist has probably come across an issue similar to what you're experiencing, and they have experience in whatever it is that they are doing. So you're more likely to trust a dentist with your tooth issue as opposed to a general practitioner. And this is the logic behind niching down as a virtual assistant. When a client wants to, say, maybe grow their social media presence, or they want to have their course launched, it is very likely they're going to go to an expert, especially if a client really cares for their business and they're keen on investing and growing their business. There's a very high chance they are going to approach a specialized person for whichever service that they are looking for. I, for example, specialize in podcast management, and I must say that when I decided to niche down to podcast management, that is when my world took a turn, totally a complete turn. And over time, I have come to realize that podcast management is something that I really enjoy. It's something that I see myself doing for a long time. And if podcast management is something that you'd love to niche down to, feel free to check out the links in the description box. I'll be having a masterclass on Thursday about introduction to podcast management. You can come attend for free. It will be for free because it's just an introduction. You can get to check out whether podcast management is something you'd love to explore and whether you'd love to take further training so that you're equipped to be a podcast manager. The next tip that you have to implement in order for you to become a highly paid virtual assistant is selling your services in terms of packages. When it comes to the virtual assistance world, there are various ways in which you can sell your services in terms of rates. You can choose to price your services based on hours. For example, you can bill your clients by the hour. For if maybe you work 2 hours, you could say maybe per hour the client pays you $30. And so if you work a total of 10 hours, you just multiply the number of hours you've worked by the rate that you have set for yourself. You can also choose to have billable hours in terms of you can tell a client that they can purchase, say, a package of 10 hours for maybe $300. So you can choose to have this renewable, or you can carry, or like you can allow your clients to carry over hours that have not been utilized. But then with these two pricing models, they tend to limit you in terms of they're only 24 hours in a day, and you can only sell probably 12 hours in a day at most. And this tends to limit you to some extent because you're the only one working on that business, and there's only a limited number of hours in a day. The other pricing model that I really love is the packaging model, whereby you tell your clients that if I do ABCD for you, this is the amount that I'll charge. Yeah. For example, for myself, I usually package my services in form of monthly packages, whereby I tell a client if I edit and publish 4 episodes a month. In this case, I'm assuming a client is putting out content every week, an episode a week. So for this package, this is the amount of money that I'll charge you. And the best part about selling your services in terms of packages is that no matter how good you become in a given task or in a given service that you're offering, you are not punished for becoming really good at whatever you're doing. Back to the hourly pricing model, when you become really good at something, say if a social media post used to take you an hour to create and come up with the captions and publish, and now that you've done it over time and you've become really good at it, it's very likely that it's going to take you maybe 20 minutes, and you're only going to bill your client 20 minutes. You're not going to bill them based on the expertise that you're bringing to the table and based on the experience that you're bringing to the table. And when you move over to the packaging pricing option or model, you're able to get compensated for becoming really good at something indirectly. The client might not know that they are paying you for your experience and for how good you've become in a given subject. But then, given that, say, at the start of your working relationship with your client, you used to spend, say, 4 hours to edit a 60 minutes episode, and you used to charge a given amount of money. Over time, you get used to the speaking style of a client, you get used to the kind of questions they ask, you get used to the kind of filler words they constantly use, and it gets really easy for you to edit. And it can even take you an hour to edit a 60-minute episode, depending on how good you become. And this means that because you've become really good at whatever you're doing, you're not going to be punished for that. Instead, you're going to be rewarded because the amount of money you charge is based on the deliverable that you're going to give your client. It's not based on the amount of time that you're going to spend on a given task. The third tip is linked to the second one, which is increasing your rates as you go. If you had 5 deliverables selling at $500 to a given client, and you already have maybe 2 or 3 people signed up for this package, I usually advise my students that you need to increase your rates with the next client. You could choose to increase your rates by a percentage or by a fixed amount of money. So, for example, if this package was going for $500, you can have it go for $600 with your next client. And something I have come to learn over time is that provided you have someone saying yes to your services or to your rates, it means you're not pricing your services high enough. You have to price your services in such a way you get to a point where the number of no's equals to the number of yeses. And if the yeses are few compared to the no's, that means that is the optimum price point for your services. If your services are priced in such a way that every client wants to work with you based on your service, based on your pricing alone, and not any other thing, but based on your pricing, it means you are undercharging your clients and you're being undercompensated. So the three tips that I have talked about are: number one, you really have to identify a niche. There are so many things that one can do online. There are so many niches that one can get into. I mentioned podcast management. It doesn't mean podcast management is the only niche that someone can get into. For example, got into podcast management because I enjoy listening to podcasts. I am a thorough person. I really love to get into the beats and clean up content so that it sounds as best as it can. And also, I would say I'm also a creative person. I used to write blogs before I became a virtual assistant, and writing show notes just comes naturally to me. And there are clients who create blog posts based on their podcast episodes, and this is something that I also really enjoy. So you can just check out or consider the kind of things you enjoy doing, the kind of skills that you already have, the kind of people you would enjoy serving. I, for example, serve female coaches, and these are the kind of people I have really enjoyed working with over time. So you need to identify the kind of services you enjoy offering, and then identify the kind of people you love serving. This is the shortcut to niching down. Simply identify what you'd love to offer and the kind of people you'd love to serve. Once you've niched down, you need to package your services. Decide the amount of money you're going to charge for a given deliverable so that when a client purchases a certain package, they know this is what they expect from you. They don't expect you to track your time to the last second, because if you price your services based on the hourly pricing model, you'll be expected to account for every minute that you bill your client. But with the packaging model, you only need to be accountable for the deliverables that your client receives. And then lastly, you need to increase your rates as time goes by. You need to increase your rates with the next client, so that way you are able to get to a point where you already have clients and you're also able to increase your rates without necessarily being anxious that you're going to miss out on a client, because you're going to increase your rates based on the clients that you already have and based on the rates that you're already charging. These are the three tips that I have seen work. If you implement them, I can assure you, you will become a highly paid virtual assistant in no time. Again, if this is the kind of content that you love, the kind of content that resonates with you, feel free to subscribe to this channel so that you're notified anytime I upload and anytime I respond to your comments. If there's anything you'd love for me to cover or to talk about, feel free to also suggest that in the comments section so that I'll be creating content based on the suggestions that you come up with. And I'll also love to interact with you. I am on Instagram as Women Working Online. I'd love to interact with you. Feel free to follow me and drop me a message, and so that you can get to connect and interact. Until next time, bye bye.